A CNN reporter is interviewing an actual flood victim who is tired of the media exploiting them for ratings. Watch.
How that was through 4 feet of water to go get them food on the first day. Yeah, that's a lot of But y'all sitting here, y'all trying to interview people during their worst times. Like, that's not the smartest thing to do. Like, people are really breaking down, and y'all sitting here with cameras and microphones trying to ask us what the is wrong with us.
So I'm so
and you really trying to understand it with the microphone still in my face, with me shivering cold, with my kids wet, and you still putting the microphone in my face.
Sorry. Rosa Flores.
Here with me now to discuss how out of touch the media is, the CEO of the National Diversity Coalition for Trump, Pastor Darrell Scott. Pastor, I want to talk about this, but we have to cover something first because I was very surprised to learn one of my most private little secrets is the fact that I have, upon occasion, watched Game of Thrones. And I understand that you may have a confession, and my background is therapy, so I just thought I'd give you that opportunity right now.
I watched Game of Thrones. I binge watched Game of Thrones. And I have to go back. I'm investigating. I'm putting pieces together. I'm getting clues, to tie all of this together. And so, yes, I am a Game of Thrones watcher, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
Right. All right. Well, Pastor, we've been watching this whole flood thing, and I think that the media really wants to focus on words that the president did say, words that the president didn't say. They don't do a lot to focus on the actions, which by almost every standard have been paid very close and specific attention to by the president and the administration, have crossed all racial lines, as I guess we have to point out since we're all about division and the color of one's skin again. But Pastor, check out this montage of the media talking about the president's lack of empathy. This is unreal. Watch. Think it's coming. Here we go. No, maybe not. Have we got it? There we go.
Hug a mom or hold a baby or shake someone's hand. It was typical Donald Trump without an ounce of empathy.
What has he ever experienced?
Show that the president is still very much learning on the job in terms of empathy.
We're saying that it's going to be key to see the way he has real feelings and real empathy. How does he respond?
The empathy factor, there's the response there is making people feel like he's engaged and
he is going to have to show some real feeling, some real empathy.
It remains to be seen what the empathy factor is going to be here.
Sure. Very little in terms of empathy from this president.
So on the one hand, Pastor Scott, they were running cartoons of the people floating down the flood zone there, being backward, Trump types, Tea Party types, and on the other hand, they're saying that the president didn't have enough empathy. Which is it, Pastor Scott?
First of all, I'm sick of this word empathy. To empathize with someone simply means that I've been there, I've done that, I can relate to your feelings because I've shared a similar experience. So no, he would not have empathy for them because he's never lost everything in a flood. He would have sympathy for them though, which is what he has displayed, through his quick response, his rapid response, the fact that he has went to visit them like the day after, while the hurricane is still going on or the storm is still raging. He's not at Martha's Vineyard playing golf. He's not riding on Air Force One looking down from overhead. He's right there with them. They're just looking for something to criticize. They want to blame this hurricane on him somehow. In fact, one person said that the hurricane came because he won Texas. And so just the idiocy of the media, the left-wing media, is just getting utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, and how do we battle back at that? I mean, this is something that you are really one of the foremost experts on. This is something that you address every day in media, are these relentless attacks on our president for being a so-called racist, which, by the way, he was never called before. We showed a montage on our show yesterday of all the great things, the times the president defended Michael Jackson. I guess that didn't count for anything. The fact that he has so many employees and members of his cabinet and his close inner circle, like yourself, who are either female or other races, whatever. I think the president is colorblind. And I think that's the way Martin Luther King Jr. at least thought that racism would be overcome. But how do we overcome what has become a racial divisiveness out of the left like I've never seen before?
Well, you know, the left played that race card. They drove that racist narrative throughout the campaign in order to secure the black vote or the minority vote. But you know what? And I said this, and they took offense to it, but I said, listen, you know, they tried to criticize the president over Charlottesville and to say, well, these Klansmen or whatever, they're attracted to you. And I brought out the fact, I said, you're the ones that pointed them in that direction. The left-wing media is the ones that fueled that narrative of racism and actually directed them to support President Trump. I mean, the campaign begins, they tag him as a racist. They say, this candidate is a racist. This candidate doesn't like black people. This candidate is anti-Semitic. This candidate is a white supremacist. And so they bought that fake narrative. They said, well, if he is indeed all of the above, then he's my candidate of choice. And so, you know, it's the media's fault. And they've been pushing that narrative because, quite frankly, they don't have anything else. And it's a false narrative. It's a fake narrative. And to his credit, he doesn't spend all of his waking hours crying out, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist. He continues to maintain his personality. They can't shake him. And because they can't shake him or break him, it frustrates them.
Yeah. It's become so evident. And like you said, he doesn't spend his waking hours thinking about this. The times that I've ever been in the same room as him, he seems honestly to be really enjoying his life and his job and working very hard. I think probably harder than any president really in recent history, certainly harder than Obama ever thought about working. Probably this president works more in a day than Obama did in a whole term. But here's the thing. Pardon?
You have to remember, when George Bush had a slow response to Hurricane Katrina, they said he was a racist. He hated black people. He didn't care about black people because he was slow to respond. Now he's Michelle Obama's new best friend. Yeah. And they put the race card against his administration as well. And so that's what that does.
Yeah, and you know, I think about things, Pastor, like the fact that the New York Post today retracted 5 different stories that they miswrote regarding Charlottesville. But where is that coverage in the media? I haven't seen it anywhere except this show right here.
You're absolutely right. They're not going to do it. I'm surprised they even retracted what they retracted and that they didn't put it in Agate type. You know, there's another fake quotes ascribed to the president when they say he said he's never asked for forgiveness. He didn't say that. What he said was, I try not to have anything to ask for forgiveness about.
And what a great statement to make. What a great statement to make. That's trying to live well. I appreciate that. Pastor Darrell Scott, thank you so much for being with us. Keep doing the good work you're doing. We'll return in a moment. Stay put.